Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. Today's video is going to be my custom singles for July. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. This is a monthly video that I do where I show you the eyeshadow palette that I built, first of all, with some looks and some swatches, and then we're going to go down to the floor to build a new eyeshadow palette with my singles collection. And for that, building that palette, I've been asking you to share your inspiration pictures with me in the past couple of months, which has been very enjoyable, but there will be a bit of a change when it comes to this series. So stay tuned if you want to know what the future holds for this video idea. Before we get into it, I would like to point out that I have fair skin with a cool to neutral undertone, and this greatly influences how I feel about makeup. I've also been reviewing makeup for more than a decade, so when I say something is a favorite, it's a favorite. And last but not least, this channel is all about eyeshadow palettes, Essence and Catrice, and getting the use out of your makeup. So if that's something you're interested in, then please consider subscribing by clicking the button down below and joining the Snow Angel family. Yeah, so let me just cut to the chase straight away. What is going to be happening with this video series? I have been doing this particular series for, I think, about 1.5 years because I wanted to trigger myself to use my single eyeshadows a lot more than I was doing because they were a little bit neglected in my makeup collection. I was reaching for palettes more so than I was for singles, but I have found through doing this series how helpful it is to build your own color stories using your singles, because then it just feels a lot less overwhelming than if you just have all of these single eyeshadows and you don't know what to do with it. Curating them into smaller palettes and then doing looks with it has been very helpful for me to really get a feel for a lot of my singles and to know what I have. It's just something that I wanted to document, and I was doing videos with it. It's just not something that gets a lot of views, and I'm not here for the views. We all know that I don't do this as a job. I have an actual job that I work 4 days a week, but that is the reason actually why I have to stop filming these videos as of this is going to be the last one. I'm going to be doing eyeshadow palette month in August, and then I think it's just a natural cutoff point to not bring the series back in September. And the reason for that is because I'm working a job and it always gets a bit crazy. And I think getting up to 4 videos a week worked a lot better when we were still working a lot from home during the pandemic. And I just feel that having that 4th video a week on my channel is starting to become a little bit more challenging than it used to be. I just want to perhaps also make sure that the videos that I do post, that they are viewed a lot more, to be able to insert B-rolls and all the swatches, because I know that a lot of people like seeing that. And right now, just because of time constraints, that's just not something I can do for every video I post. And I would like to sort of get to a point where I can have close-ups and B-roll for every product that I show in all of the videos that I post, but that means that I need to start filming fewer videos so I can actually use the time that I would normally sit down and film that 4th video and edit it, that I can use that time to insert all of the extra footage that I have. So I'm gonna have to make some choices. I'm not sure yet what other videos I'm going to be skipping from now on. There are definitely a couple of videos where I'm like, I've been doing that for a while and I'm not entirely sure whether I still want to keep doing them. But this is definitely one that's not going to come back, so we won't be going down to the floor to be selecting some new shades for a palette in this video today. I'm very sad to say, but yeah, this is the easiest video to cull if I do want to go down to 3 videos a week. Because it's simply the one with the least amount of views. Single shadows is just not something what people are looking for. There's a very hardcore base of people who always watch this video, so I know you're gonna miss it for sure, but there's too few people who watch this regularly, and over time, this series has only gotten lesser views, fewer views over time than it had when I first started doing it. I thought I could revive this series by adding a monthly giveaway, as I have been doing since the start of the year, and that's not helped as well. I'm getting fewer and fewer responses on the giveaway form every single month, and it's been very difficult to even pick a winner sometimes. So that's why I'm gonna be stopping the series here. I'm still gonna show you the looks what I did, because I think my current palette is one of the best custom single palettes I created in the entire series, and I really enjoy doing this. I still want to somehow keep using my singles part of the content I create, but that may also be shorts, because I have been doing shorts and like TikTok since, I don't know, like October-ish, and I didn't film some for a while because I was a bit busy, and it's very easy to cut. But it's been a great way to go over things that aren't worth an entire video, but that I can just do short things. And this may be really good for a short as well, to just like build a palette, play around with some singles, and then like doing a look with it on camera or something. I'm not sure yet what it's gonna amount to, but I think I can edit that down to like a minute video. So I definitely don't want to stop using my single shadows at all, but it's probably going to be coming back in a different format. That's just what's gonna happen to this series. So yeah, we're not gonna go down to the floor. I don't have the inspiration pictures for you in this month. There wasn't a whole lot to go off on, even though the pictures that were shared with me were very exciting. I have to say there were a couple of really lovely things that some of you did send me. But yeah, there were just too few entries to keep this video series even going. So yeah, what was I playing with in this month's palette? So I built myself a 9-pan, which I really enjoyed. It's cool tone heaven. I'm not entirely sure on the shades. I'm gonna have to check it as we're going along. I will be swatching these out for you as I'm talking about the individual shades. And I think I did 3, maybe 4 looks with this. I know I did a look with these purpley shades. I did a more neutral look with these 2 down here. I know I did a look with like this neutral matte was great as a crease shade to go with most of these shades actually. So I did a bit of a blue look, and then I did a bit of a green look, and then this sparkly, I know this is a Pat McGrath shade from the Divine Rose I that I repressed into this pan so that I didn't have to keep the entire palette. That was a great inner corner highlight to go with all the looks I was doing. So yeah, overall, I'm very happy that the way this was laid out and how it worked. All the shades played together really nicely. I could have done a million more looks with this. I wish a brand would come out with this. I really do. Like, if it's like perfect palette area, like this is what I want from brands. Like this murky, desaturated, cool tone blue, green, purple palette with some neutrals. That's all I need, really. So let me start with that Pat McGrath shade in the top. I don't know what the name of this is anymore. I'm not too sure on Pat McGrath shade names because they are only printed on a card that you get with the palette. But it is from the Divine Rose I. It's one of the sparkly, shimmery, special shades that she does. In the Divine Rose I, there were only 4 shades that I really, really liked. Everything else was just a bit too warm toned for my liking, and it wasn't super flattering with my coloring, so that's why I ended up decluttering the eyeshadow palette itself, but not before I pulled out 4 of the shades that I did really enjoy, and this is one of them. It looks pretty peachy when you look at it close up. It looks like a peachy rose gold, but I experienced as I was using it that if you put this in the inner corner, it's just going to look like the most sparkly, neutral shimmer shade you're gonna come across in your lifetime. So not sure on the name, but this is definitely a really good shade, and it went with a lot of the looks that I did. If I'm not mistaken, everything else is by Sydney Grace, so bear with me because I was on the Sydney Grace love train. Talking about Sydney Grace, if you do like your singles, they probably will have their Christmas in July sale again later this month. I'm still on the fence whether I want to get anything. I got mystery bags last year, and a part of me was like, oh, I'm going to get the mystery bags every single year now because I think it was a really good deal what I got at the time. Because they usually have them for Christmas in July. They do mystery bags where you get some makeup products that they do and a bunch of their singles, which I think has been the best way to buy Sydney Grace. But if you're in the EU, they can be quite expensive to buy because of the shipping and handling fees. Is it worth it though? I think that Sydney Grace is one of the best single eyeshadow brands on the market. They do some really lovely things. I have a few of their palettes, which I also enjoy. If you want really good eyeshadow, then I think Sydney Grace is just the place to be, which is why I ended up building the entire singles palette. I think it's a good way to end this series on, like a good note to end on, because it's like a last hurrah with one of my favorite single eyeshadow brands. So I think that that's a nice touch as well. So this first shade, this is the shade Baby Boy, which I think was actually in one of the mystery bags I got last year. And then this shade right next to it is Deep Waters, which again, I think was in one of the mystery bags last year. So these were really, really nice blue tones, really nice cool tone grays, cool tone blues with a gray undertone. That's what I was trying to say. My brain was already in the next part of the sentence. But yeah, these go together really, really nicely. They have this very desaturated, grayish, grungy vibe to them. These blues together with the greens would have been really lovely as well. I do think though, because this baby boy shade, it looks more blue in the pan, I feel, than it actually does. It seems to be more like a very grayish, muted down teal shade, so it can pull a little bit more green depending on how you blend it and what you use with it. I do think that kind of happens to it. Deep Waters is a great deepening up shade. I definitely put it in for that. It does have shimmer, but I don't mind having a deeper shimmer in like the outer V. I wouldn't put something like this in the crease for sure, but in the outer V, I think a bit of like a more satiny metallic can work really well to add a little bit more dimension to your look. And it's really not that crazy. I know a lot of people just want a lot of mattes when they build up a look and just put a shimmer all over the lid, but I don't mind having a bit more shimmer elsewhere. For then moving on to the purples, I have the shade Regal in here. This is a shade I've reached for plenty of times when building my single eyeshadows, so I knew it was going to be perfect, and it paired really well with the shimmering purple in the bottom. It's one of the best sort of dirty lavender lilac shades I have in my entire makeup collection. It's definitely one of my favorite shades of all time. And then the other purple that I have here, and the purple below it, the shimmer is the shade Mythical. And that was one that I really still wanted to use because it is really stunning. I just hadn't reached for it to build a palette to like put it in here. And I think it's just like the shimmering version of Regal, really. It's a bit more bright because of that shimmering sparkle that it has, but it's not so sparkly that it's gonna like trickle down your face or that it's going to look weird. It doesn't break up weird. It doesn't emphasize texture. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why I really enjoy the Sydney Grace formula is that even though they do really impactful shimmers, they don't emphasize, you know, wrinkles or lines that you might have on your lids. It doesn't emphasize your texture whatsoever. So especially if you have more mature lids and you find that a lot of shimmers can just accentuate the things you don't want people to see, then try Sydney Grace because I think they do a lovely formula for people who may struggle with those things. So moving on to the greens then, the darker one is Emerald Eyes. This was another one that was in my mystery bag last year, which is just a great shade. But like Baby Boy, it's not fully green, this one. It looks more green in the pan, but it has a bluish, I wouldn't call it a flip, but it has this aura of blue running through it. So I do think that these work together really well, but perhaps it didn't go as well with the actual greeny gold shimmer that I put in here as well. Is it stunning? For sure, but maybe because it's so saturated with the gray that it starts to look a little bit like a blue because of that reason. It's stunning. It's got a really, really, really cool formula. Very easy to blend, very easy to work with, especially for a shade that's a bit darker. Then this shade right here is called Nomadic Radiance. And Nomadic Radiance was another shade that I believe was in the mystery bags last year. It's got a bit of a hint of warmth, but nothing too much. Like you could very easily do like a neutral look with a pop of green with this as well. I just use this in the crease, and then this in the outer V, and then this all over the lid. And I did really enjoy the look that came out of it. It was definitely one of my favorite ones that I did with this entire palette. Again, same very smooth formula, very impactful shimmer, but without it being overly shiny or flaky. So no issues with fallout, no issues with this like traveling anywhere where you don't want it to travel. It's just a really, really stunning shade. And then we just have the two neutrals left at the bottom. So I believe the matte is Concrete Road. Yes, I guessed correctly. Another favorite matte from Sydney Grace together with Regal. Both of these have made appearances in these little custom singles palettes that I've been building. Concrete Road is one that I actually, for a while there, I had to actively trigger myself to not use it because I was trying to pull it into every single palette I created. So this Concrete Road shade is one of the best taupey mattes I have found in like a very long time. So this is a really nice, very good neutrally toned for me. It's a bit more on the cool side, which is why it works for me, but it's not so cool toned that it looks weird. I think a lot of people can get away with this, and it's not too dark, not too light. It just adds enough color and it's super easy to blend. And then the neutral right next to it is the shade Troops. This is another one that I had for a while, but I don't think I'd ever put it on my eyes, and it's such a stunning taupe shade. They have another great taupe which is called Tiara, but that's really, really bright and reflective, and this is the more muted down version of it, and that's why it works really well in the palette. Something I didn't do is that I didn't top this Pat McGrath shade over other things, but I think if you want to amp up any of these looks, then this very sparkly thing can very easily like take it from day to night if you were so inclined. So this is another reason why I'm like saying like, why does this not exist? Because this kind of like 9-pan, if this would exist, I think people would buy it. And because of that sparkly top coat, you can very easily take a very basic, easy to do look to the next level with no effort at all. But yeah, Troops was another really stunning taupe shade. It's got a bit of a rosy tone almost. It's a very interesting taupe. I definitely don't have anything like it, so I was very happy with this little palette for sure. As I mentioned, I'm gonna have to figure out how to do this sort of series in a different format, perhaps as a short, because I do want to like entice myself to keep using my shimmers. And if I don't create content with it, I think it's going to like just sit in the drawer and I'm not going to be reaching for it. I could make it part of my Shop My Stash. There are different things that I can think of that I can do, that I can still update you on the singles I'm using and like showing you some swatches and showing you the palettes that I create. That's definitely possible. It's just no longer going to be this kind of YouTube video in a longer format. It's just not going to work. So yeah, that's it for this palette this time round. As I mentioned, we're not building a new palette. I'm very sorry to say. So I hope you're not too sad about it that I'm going to be discontinuing this particular video series on the channel, but I think it's just for the best. I still want to enjoy what I do on here, and at this point, as the months went on, I was like, do I still want to put effort into creating this video if so few people are watching it? And the answer at this point is no. Do I still want to get more use out of my singles collection? For sure. So if you have any ideas on how I can still incorporate single eyeshadows in some of the other videos that I do, if you know my content very well, then of course I'm very open to your feedback. I would love to know, but for now, this is going to be the final custom singles eyeshadow palette that I will be building in a dedicated video like this on YouTube. So thank you so very much for joining me. I really hope you enjoyed watching today's video. Thumbs it up if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more by me. I make several videos every single week. We're currently still doing 4. This summer, I'm going to keep the 4 video train rolling, and then I think as the year continues, I'm going to bring it down to 3. That's the plan. So yeah, thank you so very much for being here, and then I hope you like to subscribe. Have a great day, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye-bye.